Paid for it. We've been telling you about this story for months now, and today we've learned that Governor Cuomo is now taking some action. His budget proposal includes a provision to prevent New Yorkers from taking out public assistance funds at liquor stores, casinos, and strip clubs using those EBT cards. Several states have already passed similar measures. That after the federal government passed a bill banning EBT debit card withdrawals in those establishments. That happened back in 2012. The Empire State now has until February 22nd to prove to the federal government that it has taken steps to prevent people from abusing the cards. The state could lose $120 million in federal funding if it doesn't do that. So joining us now to talk more about that is our political analyst. He is the New York Post state editor, Fred Dicker. Good evening, Fred.
Hey, Greg.
Hey, let's get right into it. Before we talk about the deadlines, let's just talk about the EBT card abuse. It is pretty rampant, right?
Absolutely. This state is a queen of welfare abuse. It's been known as that for decades. This kind of a no-brainer reform has been proposed for years. Last June, Senate Republicans proposed it. The Assembly Democrats wouldn't go along with it.
So let's do the math here. There's a February 22nd deadline to keep those federal funds flowing, but the budget's not due until the end of March or April if it comes on time. Is this going to be enough proof for the feds that action's being taken to keep the funds coming?
Well, I think if it becomes clear to the feds, and after all, the federal government's in the hands of the Democrats, President Obama, if it becomes clear that this New York state is going to approve that and the state's going to have to do this, then I think the feds will not cut off the $120 million. It takes the club of the loss of $120 million to get the Assembly Democrats, which are really the key here, to go along with something like this. Generally, overwhelmingly, they're against any form of welfare reform, and certainly something like this, which to most of us would seem like a no-brainer, is something they wouldn't go along with without the federal club.
And actually, the Senate Republicans, they'd like more stringent controls, wouldn't they? They'd like to make this tougher, but that's probably not going to happen.
Not a chance. And while they're proposing it, it may be just a talking point for them politically, because they know full well that the Assembly Democrats and Governor Cuomo, who's a Democrat up for re-election this year, is not going to do anything more than they have to do. And in this case, because of the federal pressure on New York, they will have to do it.
And one point here, Fred, too, these EBT cards under the provision can't be used at ATMs in these joints, but you could go down the street, take it out of the street ATM, and walk right back in and use that money there.
Yeah, I mean, that's a loophole. I don't know how you police that. If they've gotten the money legitimately, it's in their pockets, they can do whatever they want with it, that's for sure. All
right, so it's a partial strengthening. Fred, thank you so much for being with us again here tonight. Don't forget, you can always hear Fred's radio program live from the state capitol each and every weekday morning from 10 to 11 on Talk 1300 AM.